China-Nigerian relations that is over half a century should further strengthen our trade and economic development program.
China just dropped a financial bombshell on Africa, $20 billion, not in loans, not in promises, but in cold, hard investment. And the chosen destination, Nigeria, yes, you heard that right. Nigeria, the sleeping industrial giant, is now awake and roaring. This isn't your typical handshake between nations, it's a seismic shift. A move that could tilt Africa's economic balance, challenge decades of Western dominance, and place Nigeria, Africa's most populous nation, at the very center of a bold new industrial era. Lagos is buzzing, Abuja is strategizing, the port city of Leki. It's transforming into something straight out of a sci-fi novel. Massive cranes, thundering machinery, blueprints thicker than fine books, all part of the $20 billion blueprint to turn Nigeria into Africa's undisputed industrial powerhouse. And behind it all, the Chinese dragon, striking quietly but decisively across West Africa. Welcome to Echo Africa, where we don't just report the news, we decode the future of the motherland. Stay with us as we unpack this game-changing deal that isn't just building factories, it's building a future. At the heart of this $20 billion partnership lies a single, powerful idea, transformation, the centerpiece. The Leki mega industrial city, a 21st century manufacturing and export empire on the coast of Lagos State. We're talking 200-plus manufacturing plants, a massive export processing zone, one of Africa's largest deep-sea ports, independent power generation plants, a high-speed transportation grid connecting ports to highways, rails, and cargo hubs across West Africa. But the ambition goes deeper. Plans include Nigeria's first AI-managed logistics hub, full smart city infrastructure, and an Africa-China tech corridor where Nigerian engineers will co-develop solutions alongside Chinese innovators. The goal? Make Nigeria the China of Africa, a self-sufficient manufacturing base that doesn't just serve Africa, but supplies the entire world. According to project officials, the Leki mega industrial city will span over 25,000 hectares, making it larger than New York's 5 boroughs combined. So, why Nigeria? Why now? Nigeria offers a perfect storm of opportunity. Over 220 million people, Africa's largest economy, vast oil, gas, and mineral reserves, a rapidly growing middle class, and a young, tech-savvy workforce ready to build the future. This isn't guesswork. This is strategy. Let's break down the numbers. For Nigeria, this isn't just an infrastructure play, it's a lifeline. What Nigeria gains? 10 million new jobs across sectors from steel to solar tech, an estimated 3.5% GDP growth boost annually, export capacity increase of over $15 billion per year. Reduced oil dependence through value-added manufacturing, a projected 2x rise in local SME partnerships. We're not just receiving investment. We're exporting a new narrative, says the Nigerian Minister of Industry. What China gains? Direct access to West Africa's largest port, long-term supply contracts for critical minerals like lithium, cobalt, and iron, or ability to relocate low-cost manufacturing as Chinese labor costs rise, strategic presence in ACOWAS, AFCFTA, and the Atlantic Corridor. This is more than business, this is geopolitical chess. Beijing is quietly constructing its most powerful economic outpost in Africa without firing a single shot. And for Nigeria, this is about sovereignty through self-reliance. No loans, no IMF clauses, no strings attached. Just equity-based foreign direct investment, FDI. China's involvement in Africa isn't new. Over the past 2 decades, it has built roads in Kenya, railways in Ethiopia, and hospitals in Angola. But this deal with Nigeria, it marks a turning point. For years, Nigeria was caught in a cycle of loan dependency, oil addiction, and manufacturing decline. Its once thriving textile sector collapsed. Power plants were stalled, youth unemployment soared. Now, with China shifting from infrastructure aid to industrial partnerships, Nigeria is leveraging its natural and human resources to take back control. It's no longer about importing cement, it's about building the cement factory. No longer about selling crude oil, it's about refining, packaging, and exporting finished goods. This isn't a pipe dream, it's already in motion. Phase 1, 2025 to 2026 completion of Leki deep sea port already 80% built. Installation of modular power stations and water treatment plants, groundbreaking of the first 40 factories, including steel, food processing, and electronics. Phase 2, 2027 to 2028 smart city. Housing for 500,000 workers. Launch of the China-Nigeria Technical University. Expansion of the inland dry port to connect northern Nigeria and Niger Republic. Phase 3, 2029 to 2035 full-scale automobile and electronics assembly lines. Deployment of 5G-powered logistics management systems. Integration with AFCFTA rail corridors to Ghana, Benin, Ivory Coast. What does this mean? It means the iPhones, laptops, and electric scooters of the future may just read, "Made in Nigeria." Echo Africa went to the streets of Lagos, Abuja, and Onitsha to hear real voices. This isn't just infrastructure, it's dignity, says Chinedu, a machine operator now training with Chinese engineers. For the first time, I feel like Nigeria is building for Nigerians, says Aisha, a single mother whose son is learning robotic welding. At a training facility in Leki, 19-year-old Blessing tells Echo Africa, "I used to dream of going abroad. Now, I'm building my future right here." From youth centers in Ogun to trade schools in Kano, thousands are being prepped to fill the roles of a new economy, one that is African-led and African-owned. Of course, not everyone is applauding. International observers and local activists alike are raising key concerns. Will Chinese firms exploit Nigerian labor? Are environmental regulations being upheld? Could this create monopoly zones that exclude local entrepreneurs? Is this really partnership or quiet colonization? These are valid questions. In response, Nigerian officials released key deal terms. 60/40 profit split favoring Nigerian entities. All labor must be 70% locally sourced. Environmental impact assessments are mandatory. Joint ownership of critical infrastructure like power and roads, and the African Union. They've praised the deal as a blueprint for equitable foreign engagement without the noose of debt. The real test, enforcement. Let's zoom out. This isn't just about Nigeria, this is continental realignment. In 2024 alone, China invested $12 billion in Angola's refineries, announced $15 billion for green energy in Ethiopia, launched Africa's largest textile smart city in Tanzania, partnered with Algeria on a trans-Saharan high-speed rail. Now, with Nigeria in the fold, West Africa joins the industrial revolution sweeping across the continent. The West, watching nervously, aid money can't compete with factories. Speeches can't replace steel. Africa is no longer waiting. And here at Echo Africa, we'll continue asking the hard questions. Are we building with China or for China? Are we lifting Africa or outsourcing our sovereignty? So where does this lead? If executed properly, Nigeria will become Africa's largest exporter of manufactured goods by 2030, surpass South Africa as the top industrial employer, anchor the AFCFTA intra-African supply chain, become the go-to hub for West African innovation, shipping, and production. China's investment isn't just building roads and factories, it is waking a sleeping giant. Nigeria isn't just Africa's giant in population, it is becoming the engine of African development. Here's what we at Echo Africa want you to track. Will local ownership increase over time? Will vocational education lead to real skills transfer? Will Nigeria's environment be protected as promised? Will Nigerian products gain global market access? This deal may define Nigeria's next 50 years, for better or worse. So watch the promises, watch the policies, and most importantly, watch the people. Because the future is being written not in Geneva or Paris, but in Leki, Kano, and Port Harcourt. This $20 billion China-Nigeria Industrial Pact is not just a financial milestone. It's a declaration that Africa is no longer a bystander in global economics. It's a signal that our greatest export won't be raw materials, but value, innovation, and leadership. At Echo Africa, we don't just chronicle Africa's rise, we amplify it. So if you believe in an Africa that builds, leads, and thrives, this is your moment. Like, share, and subscribe to Echo Africa. Because the revolution will not be televised. It will be industrialized, Africa, built by Africa, for the world.